Carry me off 5521 private room. Sleepless night. One more time. 15 July 2021. We will move with things that we are having. We will use this pattern that we are doing, considering that I will take a look at the blog and I will report what we did and we will move ahead. It's quite simple to understand that some areas have a lot of problems, and sometimes these problems are qualified as junky, because junky implies decreasement of capacity to uh, have clean things clear, and then you are qualified as a junkie. We will have in mind that this part of the research we are having a humble contribution by methodical models for better designation, institutional design, and system management on 21st century. We did this, it's the entropy, considering organization and methods, classical area in management. We will have on mind uh, that situation which was observed in the last conversation that we had was about maybe the possibility of have extended victims, considering the interest in an area under an unfair aggression. And we could observe that indeed this was very, possible to be. Then we will have today observations quite simple, quite clear, considering the database Sigma, which is the kind of instrument that is mandatory to do not be a junky automatic decision procedure. If you have only one source as information, structured data, or compiled structures and clusters of data forming something that's named big data, indeed you have no autonomy to have as having decisions, because you have only one source, and it suggests that you have at least one extra source to compare things, and then you will have a judgment and an analysis. You will have this even if you commit a mistake, but you will have the development as intelligent as you need to understand things that you are having. Considering the bank and the public area, we will have in mind that the distortion as pattern standardized that we could have, observing the centers of investment as decision economical interest. We have America corporative area, Brazil public area. We will observe that my public center as this economical decision, which is the investment Brazil public area, will have an association with a company as America company in Brazil, joint venture, corporate public, but implicit we have the corporative area as center of economical decision. This is something very relevant to understand, that we probably will have the nepotism and distortion in Brazil on public area, on America on corporative area. It means that the wrongdoing as institutional empowerment has a trend. If you do a trend analysis, maybe will happen with much more frequency at the public area in Brazil and the corporative area in America. But the approach to both indeed will take advantage of those two situations, as you could observe at this model. And in both cases, you will change the paradigm, which is the accomplishment of the law. You won't have the accomplishment of the law, the corporative area, America, as center of economical decision, as investment, You will have the decision to support all things, sometimes everything against the Constitution, setting the instability and a lot of problems the same way in Brazil. You act against the free will of the citizen, which is a premise of state society, and the government, whatever, all things. This is a fact. You could observe this for sure we did. Then, we will have in mind that the Brazil has a clear speech by law, by constitution, which allowed me to have research audit governance and risk in a bureaucratic presentation as argument, which is the reasons to have my self-defense as a model and the incremental aggression allowed to this self-defense model became, a macro security argument, element or effort, which is named the database Sigma. It means that I suffered a lot of aggressions to have a compiled data and offer something at least as a portfolio of models to prevent risks, distortions, and it's something very standardized, which is the not accomplishment with the law by public corruption by corporative corruption, but corruption is always corruption. We'll take advantage of both. It's the same idea of if we can have the crosscuts considering the security for Brazil USA. We observe that we must have the repressive control 2021 up before, and we'll look back 2012 at least Brazil. A lot of distortion. We have this storage compiled research. Concurrent present time, the speech about inflation, the speech about taxation, and all distortions linked with. And preventive 2021-2028, Brazil, law 12,850, year 13, article 2nd, paragraph 5, 6, and 7, public corruption at the transnational organized crime. Law 12,850, 13, we have the article 3. I think that is a privilege that you have if you offer information relevant to the international law enforcement, have the SERJA against the transnational organized crime, considering the joint venture, which is A, B, Brazil, Center of Investment, joint venture A, small letter, America, with A, Center of Decision America. We will have the SERJA against these two Center of Investment under NATO interrogatory, because indeed they have the control of rates based on taxation, inflation, combined both exchange market, monetary market. We will observe that we have this speech on present time about two things, and two different things, but which acts in the same way. It's kind of, you have the Dimultim, special support. It's an academic sport, it's a research, it's something that we do by goodwill, by free will, but targeting, the transference of monetary values, which is not a payment, but can be a price, for instance. And it's the price. The price of things is how you quantify all things by money. And this price is a line, is the line which goes 0 up to 1 as 1 unit of monetary value, which is the price of the thing. But you have a problem, which is the inflation, a corrosive argument that makes you need more money to buy the same thing. The price of a hamburger, which is something like this. This is a hamburger, it's one monetary unit. With the inflation, you will need a bit more. And you have plus the taxation, which puts you needing a bit extra more, because the taxation indeed is something projected before you set the price. See? It means that now you could observe two corrosive arguments and elements, and one after, which is after you have your hamburger prepared, you will have the corrosive element as the inflation. And when you have your hamburger, indeed you have the taxation on it, you know. It means that you have two combined vectors, which this is the price of my things, and two combined vectors with a reversal behavior that will take my price as 0 up to 1, and I will consider 0.25, which is the value that we are considering have the taxation at the big global companies, plus let's suppose 5 as inflation. It means that I will need 1 plus 0.3 to buy the hamburger. And this 0.3, which is a three number, I would say, is something that in each hamburger that you have as a factory, you will have something like this: 1, 2, 3. 3 hamburgers. In each one, you will need an extra 1, an extra 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. And this 0.3, you will have the division as 0.25 as the taxation and 0.5 as inflation. Considering this, it means that in the end you will have 3.9. You know, 3.9, and you have 0.1 to have a full number, which is 4. And then you have a division here as frequency, considering the pattern of association at the scheme to have this, because the inflation plus the taxation will push you to produce money, and your central bank will be all trending to have the concurrent association and interest and place themselves kind of stranded in paradise at the producing money with no control, because indeed you had a huge expectation frustrated by the cryptocurrency and all things. All associations are maybe under a possibility as continuity of criminal scam, because indeed you are under flagrant delict. It's very recommended to have this kind of question, considering the distribution of values based on the concurrent association between taxation and inflation in a coalition scams, which involves the public treasuries and the advantage taken by the decreasement of capacity to have the accountability and the tax and allow the tax examination properly. And this we also OECD, which sometimes is financing the terrorism by laundering scams and a lot of things at the G20, especially at the G7, and the America, American has a name. It's the DC economic something, to compare with the Chicago school that has a speech about the systematical error can be considered aleatory. Have a nice day.